Hello, everyone. Very happy weekend to everyone here. Um, yeah, let's get started. We actually got some feedback saying that okay, get to the point quicker because you guys are a newer channel. So I'm gonna try and do just that, and then leave some sort of the niceties for the end. So without wasting too much time, today I wanted to talk about the trade relation reset that's underway between Canada and India. Now, this has been going on for a while. Things started last year, but now they have sort of reached a crescendo that it's okay, let's do a deep dive. So as some of you may know, Prime Minister Carney is in India. He's gonna be there for I think 4 days. He started off his visit in Mumbai, and I think he's gonna head to Delhi. Today he has given a speech which is running into about 45 minutes. I haven't had the time to hear that, but I'm gonna hear that and maybe do another live just today to kind of go over that as well. Now, let me first give everyone a little bit of a context for this. Let's go here. So those of you who do not remember, we can quickly do this.
Last number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have
audio
been actively
audible,
pursuing
everyone?
credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms.
So yeah, this is where we were back in 2023. And after this, what happened was pretty much all diplomatic ties were not, well, I think they were pretty much severed, right? And I remember on this day, when former PM Trudeau, he made this speech, I was actually flying to India. And then it was the first time I was flying to India as, I think, yeah, as a true NRI. Like I had gotten my Canadian naturalized citizenship, and then I had a e-visa to go to India, and I was like, oh wow. Anyway, all that went well, and today we are at a point that we have the Canadian Prime Minister in India, having direct conversations with the top leadership, the top business elite of the country, and this is a clear step forward in trying to reset the relationships and trying to just thaw out a frozen relationship that has happened over the past few years. Now, I just want to put this in perspective, right? There's a lot of news going around in the Canadian media on, okay, is India still interfering in Canadian politics, or the rise of extortion cases in Canada? What's PM Carney's government going to do about that? Are they going to talk about that with India? Look, I'm not an intelligence person, so I have no idea. I'm not going to speak for the intelligence communities. And a lot of such allegations have also come from the Indian side, right? Canada supports Indian separatists, and Canada has played a major role in this mass migration issue that Canada itself has faced. And you have a lot of kids from India being fooled a lot of families from India being fooled on sending people here, and then they don't get the standard of life that they were expecting. Look, a lot of it is true on both sides. A lot of it is also false on both sides. There is narrative building done in every major country in the world. And the truth is, if you don't have the time to go deep into reading the documents that all these intelligence agencies make public from time to time, you will never know the reality. You will never know the full truth. I personally am not that person. I'm just going to look at the economics of things. Canada is a 2 trillion economy. India is a 4 trillion economy, right? So in no uncertain terms, I can make a statement that this deal cannot be a bad thing for Canada. I will also go as far to say that this is only a good thing for Canada. I don't think there's anything bad that can come of it. Let's look at some data, right? So this is from the Consulate General of India in Toronto. This is just the India-Canada trade balance. India's exports to Canada are in merchandise are actually more than India's imports from Canada. That makes very little sense. And the reason for that is Canada is a resource-rich country. Like the one thing we should be, and India is a resource almost deficient country, right? India relies for its energy on foreign partners. India relies for lentils on foreign countries. Indian diet has a lot of lentil consumption, and I can vouch for that. This is not a tan that just came. This is not a tan from the beach, essentially, is what I'm saying. So, this should be flipped. And there is a very easy case for that, right? Canada has uranium, Canada has oil, Canada has minerals, Canada has lentils. I can go on the categories where India can benefit from importing Canadian goods, right? So firstly, when I saw this number, I was a little shocked. I thought it would at least be equal, if not, that India's or Canada's exports are more. Now, this is from the Indian perspective. Of course, in services, India's exports to Canada are a lot lower than India's imports from Canada, which makes sense because Canada is in the developed world. So services is one of the big drivers of an economy when you kind of get over that $20,000 GDP per capita range. So I will now show you these stats from the Canadian side. So this is directly, by the way, from the government of Canada. I hope that that's clear. This is not some blog that I found, right? So let me take a look at this goods at the national level. So this is probably the most high level view. So as we can see, Canada's exports to India, 337 million, roughly speaking, and imports from India to Canada, 610 million, right? And here is another interesting breakdown. So merchandise by province. So you will see, let's take Ontario, that's our most populated province. Ontario merely exports 61.6 million and imports 414 million. This is like most of that trade balance. I'll go look at Quebec, the second largest. This is pretty much balanced, I would say. Still imports slightly more than exports, but this is about as balanced as things can get when it comes to international trade. I will now come to my home province, BC. It looks like we are also fairly balanced, but again, exports are lower than imports, and this can easily change because wood, pulp, all the lumber related products that are very much a part of the BC economy, they can find a really massive market in India, right? 1.4 billion people, you will find a buyer. And let's look at Alberta, right? So again, even Alberta is exporting barely anything. And Alberta is the money making province, right? Probably the most money making province of Canada, and is exporting barely anything to India. So I think this picture is fairly clear. So when it comes to merchandise, we just need to be exporting a lot more to India, just because one, we have the supply, two, India has the demand. They're willing to buy it as well. So we can do the services piece. This will probably be reverted. Canada exports a lot more services to India, and then, well, imports about a third of that back from India. Again, I won't go into the details here. I actually want to go over some numbers. In 2024, two-way merchandise trade between Canada and India reached 13.3 billion. Canadian exports total 5.3 billion, led by vegetables, mineral fuels, oils, and wood pulp. Merchandise imports from India amounted to 8 billion, consisting of pharmaceutical products, machinery and equipment, and electronics. So, again, India is a powerhouse for exporting pharmaceuticals, especially the what's called the non-branded ones, the generic pharmaceuticals. India is a huge exporter of that, and Canada is benefiting from that, and Canada should benefit from that, right? But Canada can easily lead the way in exporting vegetables, as it's already happening. I did a live on I just did a live with respect to BC and how the restaurant industry is so thriving over here, just because most of the produce and most of the meat that BC restaurants are serving, and in fact British Columbians are consuming, is coming from within Canada. So there's definitely an export market or exportability of those products. Again, 1.4 billion people. India is largely agriculturally sufficient, but again, and when it comes to lentils, India needs them. During the former government, during the previous government, India strategically moved Australia up and Canada to the second position when it comes to lentils. So what has happened now is Saskatchewan is the largest producer of lentils in Canada, right? And the Premier of Saskatchewan has actually accompanied Prime Minister Carney on his trip to India, which makes a lot of sense because Saskatchewan stands to benefit from this agreement probably more than any other province. Apart from, Alberta can send the oil, but hashtag pipeline issues. Anyway, now Canada can also sell a lot of uranium. India needs a lot of uranium. India is big on nuclear energy projects. Canada has a lot of uranium. It can sell that to India. I think when it comes to oil, India has pretty much balanced itself because India is one of the few countries that has the capability to manufacture quote unquote dirty oil, dirty crude, from countries like Venezuela. And I believe, well, Canada and Venezuelan crude has very similar properties, but that India will be taking a lot of Venezuelan crude in the future. So maybe not such a big market for Canadian oil, but definitely for other minerals and other natural products, a huge, huge, huge opportunity. Again, always someone may bring up that, okay, GDP per capita wise, India is a lot lower. That is true, but we are talking at a nation level right now. We are talking about two countries talking to each other. So it just makes sense to think of them as collective wholes. And when we look at that, obviously Canada is half the size and Canada just stands to benefit, right? Now I'll just go to this article, which was the main, I guess, the spotlight, and I haven't gotten to that 15 minutes in. But official says violence by Indian agents in Canada has not continued and a trade deal is coming together. Prime Minister Mark Carney will travel to India Thursday for what officials in both countries describe as a potentially history-making trip, one meant to put years of frosty relations and lay the groundwork for a comprehensive trade deal. And Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said this week the security situation with India is an extreme concern and priority. Even Ottawa is signaling it is still willing to do business despite India's alleged involvement in the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Canadian citizen, on BC soil. And here comes the final statement from the Canadian side. I really don't think we would be taking this trip if we thought these kinds of activities were continuing, the official said. He added there are significant opportunities for partnership between Canada and India, right? So this signals to me that whatever those differences were, they have reached some sort of a conclusion, right? If let me pull that up real quick. I had briefly covered it. I'm gonna pull that up. Okay, I'll go here. Right, so here is something of interest for everyone. Earlier this month, literally about 3 weeks ago, Ajit Doval, who is the National Security Advisor of India, met with Canada's Minister of Public Safety, Honorable Gary Anand Sangari, and Canada's Deputy Clerk and National Security and Intelligence Advisor to the Prime Minister, Natalie G. Drouin. They had a meeting. The participants acknowledged the progress made by Canada and India on initiatives aimed at supporting the safety and security of their country and citizens. The Honorable Gary Anand Sangari and DCNSIA Drouin and NSA Doval also committed to formalizing cooperation on cybersecurity policy and information sharing on cybersecurity issues, as well as continuing discussions on cooperation related to fraud and immigration enforcement consistent with domestic laws and international obligations. Bottom line, differences have been sorted out, right? In fact, please go check out Anita Anand's Facebook feed, Facebook profile. She had actually, or her Facebook account had actually posted a photograph of her and Ajit Doval, shaking hands, looking happy, the usual diplomatic photographs that go around when visits like that happen. And this literally has happened just 3 weeks ago. India has made clear on what they want. Canada has made clear on what they can do. And another thing to, might as well. And I'm gonna show you guys something else that is worth looking at. This is again from the Global News. The Canadian government is pushing to revoke the citizenship of a Pakistan-born businessman accused of playing a key role in the 2008 terrorist attack in Mumbai, India, that left 166 dead. No thanks. Documents obtained by Global News show that immigration officials have notified Tahabur Rana Hussain that they intend to strip him of the Canadian citizenship he acquired in 2001. So this to me signals clearly that whatever the differences that arose, and then they sort of reached the lowest point of the trough during the previous administration, they have been talked out and sorted out. Will we ever know what the actual talks were behind the closed doors? I don't have those connections, so let me know if any of you find anything. But to me, when I see this, I'm nothing but happy. I want to see this relationship develop further. And we have to remember, India is not just a market. There was an AI summit that happened in India where a slew of AI companies demonstrated their products, all based out of India. Sarvam AI comes to my mind. SLMs at local levels, at SLMs operating straight on your phone without having to connect to a huge data center over the internet, and it'll just translate in all the regional Indian languages. Actually, Canada as a country can benefit and learn from this. We have a large English speaking population and then a fairly significant French speaking population. We are trying to have better relationships, more reconciliation with our First Nations. They have their own languages. What I call Patulo Bridge 2.0 has an indigenous name which I cannot pronounce. But think about it. An SLM that is trained to just translate the indigenous language to English or French back and forth. You just break down the barriers that have played I would say, some sort of a significant role in sort of Canadians having issues with each other. We can actually learn from these things. We can actually get motivated to develop our own Sarvam AI style models so that we don't have to keep seeing news on, oh, are French Canadians feeling left out or English speaking Canadians feeling left out. No one needs to feel left out. In fact, we have large Chinese speaking populations, large Punjabi speaking populations, large Hindi speaking populations. We have people from all over the world. We stand to benefit the most from such SLMs that can operate straight on our cell phones. Anyways, guys, this is something we will follow closely. So PM Carney is not just visiting India. India is the first stop. After that, it'll be Australia. And after that, that'll be Japan. So we'll be keeping a very, very sort of close tab on this trip, goes without saying, right? Because this is, from the Canadian perspective, from recouping the last decade perspective, this is probably the most crucial. I think this is a 9 or a 10-day trip overall. This is one of the most crucial trips a Canadian elected official is taking across the world to try and, reset relationships across the world. So anyways, guys, we're going to keep close ties on this. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of the Saturday or rest of the weekend. And we will see you soon. Ciao.